The One Piece is currently on hiatus. It has compensated with a massive mountain of extra material, including a new SBS question corner, a special interview where Oda answered big questions about the One Piece world, and new information from the Vivre Card databook, all at once, revealing things such as Akainu having the highest bounty in the series, Garp having Conqueror's Haki, or the details of the Rocky Port incident. So I've spent several days translating myself all of these pieces of content by hand, so we can break down all of these new lore revelations from the One Piece world. To start things off, we have the SBS question corner, where Oda responds to several questions about the story. First of all, a fan asks Oda about the pasts of both Fujitora and Ryokugyu, which he elaborates upon. Due to a system known as the World Military Draft, Aramaki and Issho were drafted into the Marines to serve the national defense of world government-affiliated countries. Aramaki was a police officer in the South Blue's Taya Kingdom, and although after a major incident involving a woman he was imprisoned by his country, his reputation for his extraordinary strength reached the ears of the government, so he joined the Marines, promoted as Admiral. As for Issho, after losing his money at a gambling house in West Blue's Soja Island, which translates to Twin Snakes Island, Issho was made to work as a bodyguard when he was bought by the government for a large sum of money. A long time ago, when Issho was still in the Grand Line, he was formerly the head of guards of a country that once existed known as the Aoi Kingdom, or Blue Kingdom, known as a major war criminal when the Aoi Kingdom was eradicated in a war, a fact the government is aware of. Also, an interesting detail I like to point out myself is that in the drawing of young Issho, his outfit is quite similar to that of Ryuma. Could this be a coincidence, or is there some deeper connection? Next, a fan asks Oda about who it is that fed Luffy in Chapter 11.3, to which he responds. In Chapter 11.3, Luffy starts eating a bunch of food, but who answered his plea after he screamed out, "Food!" Close to him were Sanji and Frankie. Could he have been one of them? Though the likes of Kizaru and Sentomaru were also there, no one noticed it happening, meaning for no one to have spotted it, it must have been carried out at the speed of light. I sure don't know who that could be. Speed of light. Oda shares a drawing of what Jinbe would look like at age 60 and age 80, as well as what he would look like at those ages in a future where things went wrong, finally completing this series of drawings for all of the Straw Hats. He also draws Yamato in beast and hybrid forms as a kid, around the time when he ate the Inu Inunomi mythical model, Okuchi no Makami. Oda then shares with us sketches and some extra details about the Vice Admirals that were involved in the Buster Call at Egghead, aside from Doberman, who we already knew of. Vice Admiral Pomsky is the user of the Rako Rako no Mi, or Otter fruit, making him an otter human. He deals powerful blows with a large shell. Vice Admiral Dole is a martial arts fighter, fighting with a style called Soul Rock. Vice Admiral Tosa can bite with his hands with a fighting style called Tosa-ken. Vice Admiral Urban is the user of the Tsutsutsunomi, or barrel fruit, as in gun barrel, making him a cannon human. The top of his head turns into a cannon that he can shoot from, as we saw in the manga. Vice Admiral Bluegrass is the user of the Nori Nomi, or right fruit, making her a pilot human. She can turn any object or living being she surpasses in Haki into a mount. She's also the sworn elder sister of Great Staff Officer Tsuru. Vice Admiral Hound is the user of the Inu Inunomi, or dog fruit, model Hound, turning him into a hound dog. He joined the Marines at the same time as Smoker, interestingly enough. Oda also clarifies that despite the resemblance, he is not the Marine Kadar who fought Fisher Tiger. Vice Admiral Red King is a cyber whose right knuckle blasts forward with the power of a steam engine. And finally, Vice Admiral Guillotine has a blade on his head that can be thrown like a boomerang. Oda then explains the biology of long arms. For long arms, the elbow closest to the hand is known as the tomohiji, or friend bow, while the upper elbow closer to the shoulder is called the koihiji, or lover bow. It is said they represent at what arm's length you are from somebody. Oda then gives a very interesting detail about where the Gorosei get their suits from. In the East Blue's Nagagutsu Kingdom, meaning Longboot Kingdom, there is a high-end fashion brand known as Nyornyon Yarmani that specializes in suits, and the Gorosei only get suits from that brand. We even get a picture of Nyornyon Yarmani with his famous slogan, "Being naked is the peak of fashion." As a note, the king of the Longboot Kingdom, King Furari, previously made an appearance during the breviary alongside his son Tritobu. It is obvious the country is inspired by Italy in the shape of a long boot, and the brand after Giorgio Armani, but here we get confirmation that it's in the East Blue. I would also give some more details about the relationships of Sword members. Kujaku and Gruz are juniors slightly younger than Drake, but they still act as if they were from the same generation. Also, I was asked if Gruz is actually a prince, but he is not. He's just from a rich family. And finally, Oda explains why Luffy's clothes expand with him when he transforms into Gear 5th. Look, pay attention, if he turned gigantic and his clothes got ripped, wouldn't his pop out? Moving on from the SBS, as part of the break, Oda did an interview where he answered several questions about the One Piece world, so let's go over them. Question 1. When using Gear 5th, Luffy takes out things like goggles or a baseball helmet out of his Hagoromo cloud scarf. Please tell us how that works. Oda answers, it's a gateway to Nika's fantasy. Question 2. Since Sabo has inherited the Mera Mera no Mi or Flame Flame fruit, he seems to have been able to use its abilities to the fullest. Did he undergo any training to be able to master the use of the Mera Mera no Mi? Oda answers, he trains on a daily basis. I feel like now that Sabo has regained his memories, he is recalling a bunch of things too. Question 3. Has Dragon ever lived together with Luffy? Oda answers, at least not during a period that Luffy can remember. Unlike the likes of Bartholomew Kuma, he is renowned as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, so he couldn't risk the relationship being found out, as he would have put Luffy in danger. I wonder what he must have felt when he had to let go of his family, and I wonder what he must have felt when he saw his son in lockdown. Question 4. Blackbeard's ship is known as the Saber of Shebek, but surely that has some connection to Rock's D. Shebek. Oda answers, Shebek is the name of a type of ship, which is the case in real life as well, so while the name could just be a coincidence, maybe it really isn't a coincidence. Question 5. The move Kamusari, or Divine Departure, that was used to one-shot Kid was taught to Shanks by Roger, right? Or did he just learn it by observing it? Oda answers, he learned it by observing Roger from the back. No one in the Roger Pirates has been able to imitate it, so Shanks' talent is truly surprising. Question 6. Please tell us how cross-guild bounties work. Oda answers, a crown is equal to 10 stars, and a single star equals around 100 million belly. Fleet Admiral would be 5 crowns or 5 billion belly, which would actually make Sakazuki the highest active bounty in the series. Admirals are 3 crowns or 3 billion belly, Vice Admirals are 5 stars or 500 million belly, Rear Admirals are 200 million belly or 2 stars, Commodores are a single star or 100 million belly, Captains are also single star or 100 million belly, and Field Officers, Commander and lower, are a million belly, Junior Officers are only 100,000 belly. Oda notes that there are exceptions for famous marines as well. As a small note, while we're at it, we also get bounties from the Sword members in the new Vivre Cards, who all have special exception bounties. As we know, Garp is 3 crowns or 3 billion bellies, and Kobe is 5 stars or 500 million. Prince Gruz and Kujaku also both have 5 stars or 500 million, while Hibari has 2 stars or 200 million, while Helmeppo has an impressive 1 star or 100 million. Sentomaru also has a bounty of 500 million, 5 stars impressively enough. Then question 7 is, what job does Kuzan Aokiji have as the 10th Titanic captain of the Blackbeard Pirates? Also, does he have any subordinates? Oda answers, he does have subordinates. He doesn't seem to be the type to listen to Blackbeard that much though. I feel that for Kuzan joining the crew, he was more about living freely than committing criminal acts, but as a member of the Blackbeard Pirates, his actions have still caused many casualties. Question 8. What kind of system is the World Military Draft that conscripted new marines such as the likes of Fujitora and Ryokugyu? Oda answers, each world government affiliated country has soldiers who defend their nation. The word military draft was in order to make the most capable soldiers of said countries to join the Marines, in order to strengthen the fighting power of the Marines. This was one of the triggers of the recent 8th Nation Revolution, as the weakening of the military power of several countries may have been the reason why such revolutions were able to succeed. Question 9, and perhaps the most interesting one, please tell us about the Rocky Port incident that resulted in Kobe being called the hero. Oda answers, I feel like it would take too long to draw it, so I don't think it'll be included in the main story. To put it simply, after hearing that there's a poneglyph on Pirate Island, Law snuck into and hijacked a massive passenger ship called the Rocky Port, riding it all the way to Pirate Island. The ship was carrying the king and other important figures from a certain country. In reality, however, the ship Law boarded was a smuggling vessel which was doing business with Pirate Island under the flag of that same country, so some dangerous trouble brewed up. Law then got into conflict with the pirates, and later Kobe and Blackbeard got aboard with the respective objectives, resulting in the three fighting together. That's what came to be known as the incident. As the incident settled, Blackbeard became king of Pirate Island, Law joined the Royal Sea Warlords, and Kobe came to be known as the hero. And finally, question 10, St. Garling fought the pirates at the God Valley incident, but just how strong is he really? And Oda answers, oh, he's strong, and there's a reason for that strength. And finally, we have the Vivre Cards, which provide several bits of data and information about characters. I won't go into every single detail since some of them are redundant, but here are the most important ones worth mentioning. First, we get information about all the punks. Vegapunk Stella himself is 65 years old, as we knew, but his satellites were all made 2 years ago. Despite that, they all have different physical ages that they look like. Shaka looks 30, Lilith looks 24, Edison looks 22, Pythagoras looks 26, and both Atlas and York look 16. The sexes of Shaka, Edison, and Pythagoras are all confirmed to be male, while Lilith, Atlas, and York are indeed all female. Similarly, these Seraphim were born 2 years ago, but they currently look 80-year-olds physically, even though they are considerably taller than their clone counterparts due to having Lunaria genetic code. All of them also have both armament and observation haki, though interestingly, as Snake did inherit Conqueror's haki from Hancock. They also share the same favorite foods with their real counterparts, but funnily enough, as Hawk's favorite food isn't red wine like Mihawk, but grape juice because he's technically still a minor. About Stussy, she is revealed to be 36 years old, having been born as a clone during the periods Mads was active, which we are told as well was from 39 to 26 years ago. On the same year Stussy was born is when Vegapunk made his groundbreaking discovery of the bloodline elements, which is likely how Stussy was born. Stussy's fruit is also finally revealed, and it turns out to be the fairly uninteresting Batto Batto Nomi, or simply bad fruit, no mythologies or anything. In a scrapped idea, Oda had considered several other fruits for her, including a cat or a panda, or even a porcupine or a crane it seems, among others. Now Garp is officially confirmed to have armament, observation, and Conqueror's haki, though Kobe only has armament and observation, as do Kujaku, Prince Grus, and Hibari. Helmeppo meanwhile only has armament haki, no observation yet. Speaking of Hibari, it's worth noting that not only does she share the same dialect with Sakazuki, but now she also shares the same blood type and the same ocean of origin, which further strengthens the theory that she is his daughter. We also get Garp's own justice motto, which is Ore no Seigi, or My Justice, and we're also told an interesting fact about Sakazuki and Borsalino, that they were known by the epithet of the Monster Rookies when they first joined the Marines. We actually found out about the countries of origins of several characters as well. Most important, Blackbeard is said to come from Shade Port, a town in the Grand Line that we actually saw in Oden's flashback when he joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Aokiji is from the Vespa Kingdom territory in the South Blue, which is the Italian name for wasp. Sentomaru is from Mount Kintoki on the Grand Line, and Kobe is from the Satsuruzo Kingdom in the East Blue, which is a pun on Let's Go Fishing, as Kobe was originally a fisherman. Finally, Eustace Kid is from Kutsuku Island, and Ginny, alongside presumably Ivankov if they're actually siblings by blood, is from the Porco Kingdom in the Grand Line, which again is the Italian word for pig. Speaking of Ginny, she had a 190 million belly bounty when she was a revolutionary commander. While we're at it though, I'd also like to mention the Vivre Cards that released prior to these ones, which while they don't have as much info, they have some interesting information. For starters, as you might have heard, the Vivre Cards seemingly reveal that Queen is Frankie's father. His card states that he had a son 36 years ago when Frankie was born, and that he also abandoned said son 26 years ago before joining the Beast Pirates, which again matches perfectly when Frankie was abandoned, making the connection between Cyborg father and Cyborg son quite apparent. We also get Queen's real name aside from his code name, which turns out to be Scient, as in a scientist. Guernica, the agent that interfered in Luffy and Kaida's fight, is also confirmed to be dead, having succumbed to his wounds after taking and sending a picture of Luffy in Gear 5th form. His name, by the way, is officially romanized as Guernica with a K, which is likely an obvious reference to how he attempted to stop Nika from appearing upon the world, but failed. Also, Beppo had an impressive bounty raise, from 500 belly to 1,500 belly, meaning the Chopper once again has the lowest bounty in the series. And hey, if you wanted to know, here are the jobs that several characters would have if they weren't busy with their current occupations. Shanks would be a landscape photographer, Baggy would be a downtown factory manager, Kid would be an arms dealer, Law would be a doctor, Lucci would be a pigeon breeder, Cubby would be a nursery teacher, and Blackbeard would be an archaeologist. If you want some more extra details about these Vivre Cards, go check out my Twitter, but otherwise, stay tuned until next week for more info on the One Piece world.